Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's have a look what's happening now. This is the second of the videos solving equations with the x up on the powers. So if you have a look at this one here, we've got a 3 and a 9. I know that 9 is a 3 squared. So what can I do with this equation? First of all, I can write that as 3 to the x and I can write it as 1 on 3 squared. Now with the index laws, this is where people come unstuck. So that's 3 to the x. If I remove 3 squared from the bottom, from the denominator to the numerator, this power, this index that's here, becomes a negative. So that's a 3 to the minus 2. If you want to look at that, it's in some of my other videos. There's probably lots of people can show you that. So when I move from a denominator to a numerator, the power changes its sign. By the way, if I move from a numerator to a denominator, the power changes its sign. So what I've got now is just a straightforward answer as x is minus 2. Let's have a look at the second one, more complicated. It's got a 9, it's got a 27. So if you're comfortable with your powers, 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27. If not, you can have written down 3, 9, 27. So you start to get the hang of it and see what it's actually doing. So I'm going to write this, I want to write this with a base of 3. Over here, I was writing also with a base of 3. And once they're both written with a base of 3, I can write the equation down. So this one is a 3 squared. Now what's I'm going to do this time? To the power of x plus 1. So this one over here is 1 on 3 cubed, just like we had over here, but I made it a little bit more complicated. So what happens when you have a power to a power? So a power to a power, you multiply. So if I had 3 to the squared to the power of 3, that means I write this 3 times. 3 squared by 3 squared by 3 squared. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6, so 2 times 3 is 6. So when you have a power raised to a further power, it's a multiply. So I'm going to multiply that by that, so that's a 2x. I'm going to multiply the 2 by the 1, that's a 2. And I'm going to move this from the bottom to the top, and I probably need to put in an extra step. So what am I going to do? This is 3 to the power of 2 with a bracket of x plus 1. So we've got that times by all of it. What do you do when you multiply more than one thing? You put brackets in, and many people forget to write that. A lot of people will write 2x plus 1 and get their equation wrong, because that makes that a 1, when you put the bracket in it makes it a 2. So how do I move from the bottom, from the denominator to the top? The index changes its sign. So this was a 3, so it becomes a minus 3. So now I've got a simple equation. I'm going to expand that equation out to be 2x plus 2 equals minus 3. And you can see that 2 there. That's where a lot of people go wrong. So now I can go, that is 2x equals, now it's minus 3 minus 2, which is minus 5. Divide both sides by 2, and I've got x equals minus 5 on 2. Now of course I could write that as minus 2.5 or minus 2.5. Looking at this one here, a little bit of a twist. We've still got 2's, which is pretty obvious. How do I write 2 when it's got a square root? A square root means you write it as a half. I'm not going to fully explain that here, don't have time for it. So root 2 can be written as 2 to the half. So we've got root 2 is 2 to the half. So root 3 is 3 to the half. So root 10 is 10 to the half. So we write a square root with a half. So now we've got a really simple equation. X plus 1 equals a half. If I subtract 1 from this side, I subtract 1 from that side, and I've got x equals a minus a half. Now if you're confident enough with your index laws and what happens with square roots, you might see that answer in your head from the beginning. Go over to this one. We've got an 8 and a 2, so let's look at the powers of 2. 2, 4, 8. So we're not going 2, 4, 6, 8, we're going 2, 4, 8. So this one can be written as 2 cubed to the power of x plus 3. So I can do that in one step. 2 cubed to another power of x plus 3, so you can write it down straight away, as long as you put the brackets in. So this is 1 on 2 to the half, and how do I move from the denominator to the numerator? That becomes a 2 to the power of minus a half. So I could have, if I wanted to, instead of writing that there like that, I could have just said this is a 2 to the half. When it moves to the top, it becomes a 2 to the minus a half. So when you go from denominator to numerator, the power, which is a half, changes sign. So now we've got 3x plus 9 equals minus a half. Gets a bit harder because of the fractions involved. So if I minus 9 from this side, I'm minus 9 from that side. Because my goal is to get the x by itself, I need to get rid of the 9 and get rid of the 3. So 3x equals minus 9.5. So you're counting backwards, we took away a half, we took away another 9, so altogether we've taken away 9.5. Answer is, if I divide both sides by 3, this is where people really come unstuck. You go, if I divide that side by 3, divide that side by 3, and the answer is minus 9.5 divided by 3. Let's go through this and show you what's happening. So this is how many halves are in 9. If I had 9 pizzas, you go 9 lots of 2, that's 18, plus another one is it's a minus 19 on 2. How do I write 3 as a fraction? I write as 3 on 1. How do I divide a fraction by a fraction? If you haven't heard it before, it's invert and multiply. So I leave the minus 19 on 2 the normal way, and I turn the 3 on 1 upside down. So that's times a third. So the answer to the question actually is a really shocking answer, but it works for the equation is minus 19. Because we multiply the tops and we multiply the bottoms as minus 19 on 6. And you could muck around with that. Some of you would know it's 3 and 1/6. So you can go minus 3 and 1/6. I would say to you though, avoid if possible, changing it to decimals, because then you'll have repeating decimals or recurring decimals and all sorts of yucky answers, and then you've got to talk about 2 decimal places or 3 decimal places. So there we go, equations with powers number 2. If you enjoy it, please spread the word. That would be really helpful.